guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I talk about Shadow Priest stats a little bit and give you a general idea on what you're looking for in terms of Shadow Priest stats. But the main thing I actually do in this video is I break down two add-ons I use. So one of them is going to be Simulationcraft and the other one is Pawn. And I use those two together and also work with a site called Raidbots to get a better accurate stat guideline that I should be following on my character. So I break that down a little bit in this video for you guys. Hopefully this is able to help you out. I would do this actually on all your characters. It's not just a Shadow Priest thing. So I look into it more on your other characters as well. And if this video helps you at all, please subscribe and drop a like. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below and I'll make sure to respond to you guys there. But yeah, let's get into it. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, now I'm going to break down the Shadow Priest stats for you guys. So I'm going to tell you a general idea on what stats you should be looking for. But then I'm going to tell you how I get my stats and how I compare different gear to one another. And I think you should do this on all your characters, not just Shadow Priests. But yeah, to start off with, so Intellect is still going to be that highest stat we chase currently. So you're going to be shooting for those higher item level pieces a majority of the time. And then after that, you're going to be looking for haste. And I actually shoot for usually like 32% haste. You do see a diminishing return on it after 30%, and it'll be a diminishing return of 10%. So if you get let's just say a gem was 10, so if we had 10 haste as a gem in a piece after 30%, we'd only get 9 of that haste instead of the full 10. So careful with that. However, I would still chase those haste mastery or haste crit bis pieces. And like I said, I personally like getting to 32% haste. I just find it feels best when I'm at 32% haste. And then I start to worry about those other stats. So mastery is going to be that second stat that we chase. It's a little bit better than crit at the current point in time. And then third, we'll get crit. And then the last stat would be verse. But honestly, you shouldn't really look at getting verse on any piece of gear unless it's the higher item level one. So like, for example, I have a higher item level offhand here, it's 278, and I haven't been able to replace it yet, so that's the only reason I have verse on it. However, if you're doing that high-end raid, like mythic rating or M+, then you can look at getting versatility if you need to be able to take more damage and live some of those bigger hits. So yeah, it's going to be int, haste, mastery, then crit. And the way that I actually end up getting my stats in find it works best for narrowing down which pieces of gear are an upgrade and which ones aren't, are going to be through a few add-ons. So the add-ons you're going to want to get, you're going to open your Curse Forge or wherever you get your add-ons, and then you'll have the two tabs up here at the top. You go to get more add-ons. The first one I'm going to have you get is Simulationcraft. So if you just type in simulation up here, it'll come up. It's going to be this first one here with the blue chip. Go ahead and install that. Then while you're on CurseForge still, also download Pawn. And then this one's going to be that 66 million downloads. And go ahead and install those two add-ons. Once those are installed, reload your UI or make sure they're loaded up in game. And you'll come down here. You can just type in the chat /simc. So SIM and then C. And then you hit enter. Once you do that, this window should appear. It should all be highlighted already, and once it is, then all you have to do is hit Control-C. That'll copy it, and then we're going to go over to our web browser. So in our web browser, I already have it open here, but I'll tell you guys where to get it. You'll just type in Raidbots in your URL, and it's going to be this www.raidbots.com one. When you go to this page, it's going to have a bunch of different options here. To make it easy, we're just going to be focusing on the stat weights at the bottom right currently. So go ahead and go there. And you don't care about any of the top information. All you're going to do is come down to this chat window. And with that information you just copied, you're going to hit Control-V. It'll post your current talents, what gear you have, and just everything in your inventory. And also be careful when doing this. Make sure you're running talents that you're going to be using a lot. So whatever talents you use the most, make sure you have those ones on when you're doing this sim. because your stats are going to change depending on which talents you're running. So once you do that, then you're going to hit generate stat weights. It's going to go through a process. Most of the time you'll actually get a queue. I don't have one. However, I already have this up on another browser, so I'm going to cancel out of this. So once it finishes processing, it's going to take you over to this page. It'll have your damage that you should be doing, like just a rough estimate at the top. Oh, this isn't the right one, sorry. It's going to be this one. It'll have your damage, like I said, at the top, all of the talents you're running, all the gear you have, and then it's going to give you the stat weights. So this is the one that we care about. It's just telling us intellect is the highest, and that's the one that we should be chasing. And then it's going to be haste, and then it's going to be crit and mastery. So it's actually saying crit over mastery currently for me because I have a little bit too much of the mastery, but mastery is still going to be that second one for us because I have like 300 more mastery than I do crit. But once you get these stat weights, you'll just copy the clipboard down here. You'll go back over to game. You'll do /pawn. This is the other add-on I had you guys install. Once you're here, it's going to have this list on the side for you. You won't have a profile yet, so you're going to want to make one. If it has you on this page, then you're set up. Just make sure you click manual on the bottom right and not automatic. Automatic is not going to help you. Make sure you're on manual, and then it'll probably have you create a profile or something like that. Once you do that, you're going to go to show your scales. You'll hit the import button. And since you copied the clipboard on your Raidbots here, make sure you copied it. Go back over to your game, and then hit Control V. This is going to paste those stats in the add-on for you, and it'll start to tell you which pieces of gear are good. So it's going to be shooting for these stats on the gear that we get. And then it's going to look something like this. So over here on the right hand side, it's going to have green arrows on what would be an upgrade and what wouldn't be. Don't worry. So like for example, this one says 12% upgrade for discipline. Don't look at that. Like we don't care. We're not playing discipline. Another great example are these legendary pieces. So it's going to have holy as an upgrade, and the basic shadow one that is that automatic one that I said don't worry about. Again, don't worry about it. So those two we don't care about. All we care about on this is that third option, which is my personal profile that I made, and these are going to have these stat weights that I just put in. So it's saying that this is an 11% upgrade. I already have 2 legendaries on, so I'm not going to equip it. But yeah, this would be an upgrade. This is what a piece would look like. Another great example, which I want to get into, is this ring here. It says it's an upgrade, and this is just going off of the basic. It's just going off of the basic stats here. So it's a 270 ring. It has a socket, and it has all the enchants and stuff like that. And it's saying it's a 4% upgrade for me. And ideally it would be. However, the ring it's saying it's an upgrade compared to is this ring right here. So this ring right here actually has a proc on it, and Raidbots isn't going to track that proc. It's just going to be tracking those basic stats. So it's going to be looking at that haste, that mastery, that stamina, and then whatever enchant and gem I have. That is all it's looking at. So when we're actually looking to compare those proc pieces, which you're probably not going to have very much of, and this will be the same for trinkets. You should be doing this for trinkets. You're going to go back over to that Raidbots after you copied it. So we'll do SimC, we'll copy, and then we'll go over to Raidbots. So in Raidbots, we're going to come to this default home screen. What I do for this is I'm going to do gear compare. So in gear compare, I'm going to actually post my stuff here again. I'm going to come up with my current talents, my gear, and this is what I'm wearing. So if we scroll down just a little bit, I'll have item name, and here's where we're going to look at that ring that it said was an upgrade. So I think it was called Death God Sing It or something. Yep, there it is. We're going to put in exactly what the ring is. So the item level of that ring I have is 272. We'll just say it had a 16 haste, and we'll say I had 16 enchant on it. Also look at which slot it's in. So right now it's covering my slot 1. We actually want it to be covering slot 2. So I'll click here and I'll move that over to slot 2. And now it's going to be comparing itself against that proc ring that I currently have. And then once you got that all in set, so you'll do this the same for trinkets. If you're trying to compare 2 trinkets, you're you're just going to put them in here. And that, I'm going to hit compare item. It's going to go through the process. I actually have this one done as well. So once it finishes doing that process, it's going to come over here. So as you can see, in game, it said that this was going to be a 4% upgrade for us, but clearly right here, it says that it was a, I don't know why that happened. That was a minus 440 DPS loss if we put that if we put that ring on. So when it comes to proc gear, make sure you guys are doing the compare gear, and making sure that you get the correct piece for that, because the Raidbots is not going to be able to track that. It's just looking at the default. So yeah, when we're looking at gear, you can trust Raidbots unless it has a proc on it. That's why you don't really look at the trinkets, I guess, as well, because like, let's just say for this, it would probably say that this one's better because it has the intellect, but this one could be better. I just don't know because it's not going to look at that proc. So yeah, make sure you guys are looking at that when it comes to Raidbots. But I think honestly, this is the best way to get your gear and your stats correct. And when you get to the higher tier, when you're replacing gear like almost never, I would continue to restat and get those new Raidbot stims each time you do get a new piece, because those stats are going to change. But when you're quickly replacing pieces of gear and it's like an early expansion or you're leveling up, don't bother doing a new stat line, because like otherwise you're going to be doing it every 5 minutes and that's going to be annoying. But when you're kind of settling down with some of those pieces of gear, I would look at doing a new SimC and getting those new pawn stats implemented in game, so you're getting a more accurate stat line. But yeah, that's how I get my gear, and I think it works best. So hopefully I was able to help you guys there.